right, so we're here with Travis Reynolds. So Travis, what do we got here? What is this thing?
This is my crooked sister, the Caddywhompus asymmetrical board. I've been working on for a few years now. Just kind of trying to dial it in. You know, instead of trying a bunch of different asym boards, I've just been kind of focusing on this one particular asym, along with all my other boards. But yeah, getting really good feedback. It's been a lot of fun. You know, I'm just like, this is the board that I want to gravitate to when I go surfing out of my quiver, and I've been hearing that from a lot of people too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What size waves do you ride it in typically?
Typically, you know, waist to overhead, kind of like a nice punchy wave. Something similar you would want to ride a shortboard in. It would work good, you know. You can kind of grovel on it, but it tends to lean towards like something with a little more push.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a perfect wave, just something with a little more push to it. You know, everybody has their own approach to doing asymmetrical boards, and I was kind of looking at the dents on boards, you know, and foot placement and things like that, and trying to line where your weight is leaning to where the wide point would be. So basically on these, the wide point is shifted forward on your toe side and pushed back on your heel side, just creating the curved part of the board in different spots. And that's kind of lined off of looking at the angle of your front foot on your pads, or if you wear booties, you know, you can see that mark. It's never like crossing the stringer perfectly, it's always at an angle. So you kind of line that wide point up to that angle, kind of shift it around. So you have a longer rail line on your toe side and a shorter rail line on your heel side, which is pretty typical for an asym board. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You know, it's not too crazy. It looks pretty wild, but you just get on it and ride it. That's kind of the best way. You know, you can feel good and work.
Yeah. So it doesn't ride as bizarre as
it looks. Assume. Exactly. I think that you're more likely to psych yourself out by thinking about how wild it's going to be than if you're to just like get on it and ride it, you know. So.
And what's the difference kind of in the way that it rides backside versus front side?
You know, my whole thing is I grew up in Santa Cruz at right-hand points going backside. So being able to have a board that works backside is really important to me. And I didn't want to sacrifice that by making an asym that only went one direction. So that was a major focus, and they work great backside. It actually tends to help you, you know, on your backside. Having a little shorter rail and that wide point adjusted to where your weight is transferring, it seems to help. I think that, like, the more open-minded people become and are becoming with surfboards, you know, the more you're going to see of them. You know, once you ride one, it makes sense, but just looking at them, it doesn't really make sense. So it's kind of breaking that barrier, you know.
Yeah.
I think the more that people ride them, the more we'll see, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, for sure.